Real stories. Real emotions. Every story has a lesson. This one might change you. The day Buddy and Whiskers saved the lost little girl. A gentle guardian story. Paws with a purpose. The rain began the way bad things always do, quietly. Just a few cold drops tapping against the window, tapping harder, until the whole sky broke open above Maplewood. By dusk, the streets shimmered with puddles, and the wind had turned fierce enough to bend the trees near the old bridge. The smell of wet earth filled the town. Lights flickered in living room windows. Parents called their children inside, all except one. Her name was Lila, 7 years old, with a pink backpack and pigtails that danced when she ran. She was supposed to take the shortcut home from school, through Birch Lane, but when the storm hit, she never arrived. And that's how the town's two quiet guardians, Buddy and Whiskers, found their purpose once again. If you believe heroes come in all forms, even four-legged ones, subscribe to Gentle Guardians. Every story shows that courage doesn't always speak. Sometimes, it barks and purrs. Buddy was the golden retriever everyone in Maplewood loved. Steady eyes. Soft fur that smelled faintly of rain. He belonged to Mrs. Carter, the retired school librarian. Whiskers was another story. A gray tabby with a white streak on his tail, and the kind of eyes that always seemed to know something before you did. He didn't belong to anyone, yet somehow, he belonged to everyone. They were a strange pair. Buddy, big and warm, all heart. Whiskers, sleek and clever, all instinct. But together, they were unstoppable. When the storm rolled in that evening, Mrs. Carter sat by her radio, knitting, while Buddy stared out the window, ears twitching. Down the street, Whiskers paced the edge of the fence, tail flicking in the rain. Something wasn't right. At 6:42 p.m., a police siren sliced through the wind. A missing child alert. Lila Parker. Last seen near Birch Lane. Buddy gave one low bark, that kind of bark that means, let's go. Whiskers leapt from the fence, landing silently beside him. They didn't wait for anyone's command. Some missions don't need words. The town was a blur of flashlights and umbrellas. Volunteers shouted Lila's name, their voices swallowed by the rain. The search party spread across the woods behind the school, but those woods were endless, tangled, and dark. Buddy started with the basics. Scent. He lowered his nose to the sidewalk near Lila's route, sniffing for her trail. Whiskers darted ahead, slipping under benches and fences, scanning the hidden corners where human eyes rarely looked. At first, there was nothing, just the smell of mud, leaves, and distant thunder. But then Buddy froze. Beneath the damp scent of rain, he caught something faint, bubblegum shampoo. Lila's scent. He barked once, sharp and sure. Whiskers heard it through the storm and doubled back, his small paws splashing through puddles. They followed the trail past the playground, past the bakery with its darkened windows, all the way to the old bridge that crossed Maple Creek. The bridge was slippery and half-rotted. Nobody used it anymore. But there, tangled in the fence, hung a pink ribbon. Lila's. Buddy whined, pacing near the edge, his ears pinned back. The current below roared white and fast. Meanwhile, the town gathered near the school parking lot, waiting for news. I was there that night, flashlight in one hand, radio in the other. And when I heard the barking echo from the direction of the creek, I ran. When I reached the bridge, I saw them, two silhouettes in the downpour. Buddy standing firm at the edge, tail stiff, eyes locked on something below. Whiskers crouched near the railing, meowing into the dark. Then I heard it, a faint sob. Help. Lila. She had slipped down the muddy slope under the bridge, clutching a tree root just above the rushing water. One more slip, and she would have been gone. Buddy barked again, frantic. He looked at me, then at the rope in my hand, the kind of look that said, we don't have time to wait. I tied the rope to the railing, lowered myself halfway down, and called to her. But the mud was too soft, I couldn't reach. That's when Whiskers did something I'll never forget. He jumped onto the slope, claws digging into the wet earth, inching closer to Lila. With every movement, he risked sliding into the creek himself. But he reached her, brushed her arm with his paw, then yowled up toward Buddy. Buddy understood. He lunged forward, grabbing the other end of the rope in his teeth and pulling with all his strength. The line went taut. I climbed down further, just enough to grab Lila's backpack strap and pull her toward safety. Mud. Water. Crying. Barking. The sound of thunder cracking over us. And then, she was up. Safe in my arms. The storm could have swallowed her whole that night. But sometimes, destiny sends help in the most unlikely shapes. Watch more stories of real courage on Gentle Guardians, where every paw print leaves a mark of hope. By the time we got Lila back to the search area, her mother collapsed into tears of relief. The police called it instinct. I called it something bigger. Buddy stood dripping beside the fire truck, eyes calm but tired. Whiskers curled beside him, licking mud off his fur. I swear, when they looked at each other, it wasn't just animal instinct, it was understanding. Days passed. The storm cleared. The town went back to normal. But something had changed in Maplewood. People started leaving bowls of food by their doors. Kids drew chalk pictures of Buddy and Whiskers on the sidewalks. Even the mayor came by Mrs. Carter's house with a small gold medal shaped like a paw. She placed it around Buddy's neck, smiling through tears. And Whiskers. Well, no one could ever get close enough to give him a medal. But the next morning, someone found it lying on Mrs. Carter's porch, right beside Whiskers, sleeping soundly. Weeks later, when Lila was brave enough to walk past the bridge again, she stopped and placed something by the railing. That pink ribbon, tied into a bough, fluttering gently in the wind. Her way of saying thank you. As for Buddy and Whiskers, they didn't stop there. They became the quiet protectors of our little town. Helping at the daycare when a child's toy went missing. Guiding a lost old man back to the nursing home. Even sniffing out a thief who had been stealing from the farmer's market. They didn't ask for reward or applause. Just a pat, a smile, or sometimes, just the peace of knowing they'd made things right again. Because that's the thing about heroes, the real ones don't need to be seen. They just need to care. That night, as the moon rose over Maplewood, you could see them walking side by side, the golden retriever and the gray tabby, heading down the street like two shadows with a purpose. Some say that when you're lost, if you listen carefully, you'll still hear a bark in the distance. And maybe, just maybe, a soft meow answering back. For more heartfelt stories of courage, loyalty, and love, subscribe to Gentle Guardians, Paws with a Purpose. Because sometimes, the smallest hearts guard the biggest truths. Moral: true guardians don't need badges or uniforms. Sometimes, they walk on four paws, reminding us that kindness, courage, and loyalty still matter in a world that too often forgets.